Welcome back to Soccer Over Gotham, U.S. Women's National Team Breakdown Show. I'm your host and social media creative, Ruby Pinto. In this episode, we'll give you our thoughts and takeaways on the U.S. Women's National Team 1-1 draw against the Netherlands. We'll see who the fans thought was the player of the match. I am joined by the producer, editor, and my co-host, Gary Gibson. And today, our guest is none other than former Gotham FC midfielder Nicole Baxter. Welcome back to the show, Nicole.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be back.
Woo!
Woohoo!
Yes, so we have to, catch up and tell us what you've been up to after you left Gotham.
Yeah, so after I left Gotham, I went and I trialed for the Orlando Pride and I had a great month there, honestly. Like I absolutely loved like all the girls that I met there, but the playing style wise, it just wasn't a good fit.
Mhm.
Um so then I started thinking about what might be coming next for me. I had an opportunity to go play in Australia, but in order to do that, I was just gonna have to miss some things that I was really tired of missing, like weddings, like family
Yeah.
parties, stuff like that. So, yeah, I like felt it in that moment of like I started to understand how like my priorities have changed over my time of playing because like it was never like that for me before. Like in the past, I'm like I don't care what I miss, like I'm going to play soccer, and I loved every second of it. And I just started to feel that like passion for it kind of start to change a little bit. So I started looking at jobs and I ended up with a job at EA Sports. So it's been a very, very good time. And that's where I am now. I'm in Orlando, Florida, working from home, chilling with my dog, having a good time over here. Yeah.
That sounds awesome. And I know the fans
Yeah.
miss you. Last time we talked to you, it was your first professional minutes for Gotham
Ah,
FC.
nice.
Yeah, it was
Yay.
cool. Yeah, it was a good episode.
Yeah.
It was one of our most downloaded episodes. So
Nice.
that's
Happy to
awesome.
hear that. Yeah, we haven't talked in a while. That was a hot second ago. But
It
yeah, I
was.
honestly I miss the Gotham fans a lot. I really do. Like I have such a special love for Cloud9. I still
Hmm.
love like interacting with all the fans on social media and stuff. And that's like one of the bad things about not being in Jersey anymore. Like I would have loved to be able to like go to some games and reconnect with all of them like in a different type of way, obviously, like
Hmm.
not still playing. So yeah, that's a bummer, but yeah.
Have you gone to any of the games in Orlando?
Yeah, I go to a decent amount. Like I still have a lot of friends playing. So, and I just got to see a bunch of the Gotham girls when they came here to play Orlando. So that's been really fun for me to like go to the games as a fan and not have like a stake in the game. Like it's just so different. It's so much more enjoyable. I can't even tell you. I don't have to like care who plays well, what team wins. I'm just like, cool, this is fun. I didn't even pay attention at all at the Gotham game. Like I after the game, the girls were like, "Oh, what'd you think?" I'm like, I didn't watch one goddamn second of that game. I was playing with Allie Long's babies.
Oh, they're so cute.
Oh my god, they're so cute and they're so big. I haven't seen them in a while. So it was a really good time. But yeah,
Yeah.
I still go to a lot of the games and it's like helpful because now that I'm working for EA Sports, I'm in charge of like helping integrate women's players into FIFA Ultimate Team. So like watching the games is actually really helpful for my job. So it kind of yeah, it's kind of nice.
So they can blame all their player ratings on you.
Absolutely. I keep joking with them. I'm like, "You guys better be nice to me or I'm gonna mess with your rating so badly." I actually, to be fair, like, I don't have a say in their, like, initial ratings. That's, like, a whole
uh,
different company.
Yeah.
But, yeah, anything that happens in Ultimate Team, like, you could just point the finger right at me.
very good.
I'm ready for it.
Well, we'll just blame you. But
Yeah.
before we move on to the World Cup, I just want to get your thoughts on how Gotham is doing this season.
I honestly think Gotham is really good this year. Like I think they're really good. I was talking to the girls about it a little bit. Like I legitimately think they have a chance at winning this year. Like if they're going to win, this is the year with the amount of players they brought in this year. Like Gotham slash Sky Blue, like I cannot remember a time that they brought in players like this. Like especially on an international level, like I don't think there was ever a time where they have signed this many players in one season. And a lot of the players are like at their prime or like yeah, a lot of these players are like peaking or like maybe even a little over their peak. So I think they're doing really well. I think that they just need to be more consistent. Like they have the ability to win every game that they play. Like they're that good. But I think that sometimes they just kind of revert back to like what we did last year, which is like a lot of kick and run, a lot of like lacking of patience type of thing. But when they actually like play good soccer, like they're potentially unbeatable. They're very good. So I think they've done a really good job.
Agree.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So let's get over to the World Cup. First thing, I think all the bros out there are running out of excuses on why not to invest in women's soccer because it is booming.
It
Six,
is sick.
yeah, yes, 6.43 million viewers for that Netherlands USA game we're going to be covering on this one. The most watched group stage match in U.S. English language history.
Not
Amazing.
surprised. Not surprised. I don't know if you guys have been watching all the other games, but since
Have.
I don't start work till noon technically because my whole team works out of Vancouver. So
Uh-huh.
I usually wake up in the morning and I rewatch the games that I like missed in the morning because
Yeah.
like I'm not waking up at those times to watch those games.
Yeah.
But even like the lowest level teams in the tournament, those stadiums are packed. Like
Hmm.
I've just never seen a women's tournament like this. Like you watch these games and it's so loud. And I'm just
Hmm.
like, these aren't even good teams. Like in the past, these teams would have had nobody there to watch. And now these stadiums are absolutely packed and they're actually it's good soccer too. Like it all goes hand in hand. So yeah, it's been so sick to watch. I'm like so pumped about it.
Yeah, the growth of the sport, it's unbelievable. I think over 1.5 million tickets have been sold for this World Cup. And like you said, even like the games you don't think people are going to be there, it's packed and it's awesome to see that all these people are supporting women's sports. And
Hmm.
it's not that people do not want to watch women's sport. Is that people do not invest. And this is the perfect time to invest right now. Like if you want to
Hmm.
get in it right now.
Totally, I totally agree. I mean, even like, look, it's the whole reason I was hired at EA Sports because they've now started to invest more into the women's game because it's profitable. Like,
Mhm.
they're going to get more users, they're going to make more money now having women in all the same features that like the men are. So like if a company like EA Sports like they don't need more money, you know what I mean? So if a company like that is like, "Whoa, we really need to be investing in women's sports." It's like can't everyone just kind of follow that lead, you know?
Yeah. And another big thing for this World Cup is Telemundo covering all the games.
Mhm.
Yeah.
1,510,000 total audience delivery on Telemundo and Peacock, which is incredible. It's the most watched women's World Cup match in Spanish language history. Very, very cool.
Unreal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make it
Yeah.
accessible and people will watch.
Yeah.
Exactly. All
And
right. So
I found this interesting. The top 5 Fox
yeah.
markets was
Yeah.
number 1 was Milwaukee, which I thought was
What
Oh.
the
interesting.
hell?
I know. Kansas City, Washington, Cincinnati, and Dallas. So
Kansas City,
what's going on
Washington.
over there in Milwaukee?
Who the hell knows? I've never even been there. I could
Right.
barely tell you where that is on a map. But shout out Milwaukee. Shout out
Yeah.
Milwaukee because they're supporting women's soccer over there.
Yeah. Get them a team. Who knows? Maybe they were
Yeah,
up
honestly,
next.
yeah, whatever. Throw a team in
Yes.
Milwaukee.
And I did want to talk real quickly about last week I told you like what I'm really looking for as far as what I'm watching in the tournament, but this time I'm going to give you my hierarchy of who I'm rooting for.
Hit me.
So it's a triangle. So the top of the triangle is, of course, it's Gotham players in the U.S. Women's National Team. That's the
Of
top, of
course.
course.
Of course.
And then right below that is the non-U.S. Women's National Team Gotham players that are in positions to advance. That's my second.
Oh, very specific.
Yep. And then right below that is any other non-U.S. Women's National Team Gotham player. And below
Okay.
that is underdogs. And then right below that is just NWSL vibes and pure unadulterated chaos. That's what I want.
Totally. I'm so with that.
Okay.
I do find myself rooting for individuals over
Uh-huh.
teams a lot of the time, like, because like you're saying, like, you have these favorite like club players or people you're friends with, and I just want them to do well
Mhm.
so damn bad. Like, when you play well on the World Cup stage, like, your career just changes. Like, I feel that way, especially for someone like Kaylin Sheridan, who, like,
Mhm.
there's a chance Canada might not even advance out of their group. Like, that group is tough as hell. And I'm panicking. I'm absolutely panicking that Kaylin's not going to make it out of the group stage. Like, it's not even
Yeah.
about Canada, it's about Kaylin. Like, so I just, yeah, I find myself very loyal to people in the same way that you're saying.
Yeah, so we'll get to this later, but tomorrow's games, we have Nigeria and Ireland. Like, obviously, I love Sinead. I think her story's amazing,
Yeah.
and I love Anamanu. But tomorrow, Ireland doesn't look like they're going to make it through, and
They're not.
Nigeria is in
Certainly
a
not.
really good chance to make it through. So I'm all in on Anamanu going for this game tomorrow.
Yes,
Sorry,
she is one
Sinead.
she's one of the individuals that I'm just like, I want her to have a good World Cup so bad.
Yeah.
And I rewatched the Nigeria Australia game.
Hmm.
Front their last game, and I'm just like, we got to get her on the ball more. Like,
Hmm.
and I looked up the stats afterward. She played like 60 something minutes and only got like 15 touches on the ball or something like that. So I'm like, come on, Nigeria, get your 9 involved.
Yes.
Give her the damn ball.
All right, Ruby, want to take us over to the game?
Yeah, so let's go over and have a breakdown of the game against Netherlands. So USA enters this match on the 10-match winning streak after dispatching Vietnam 3-0 in the tournament opener. The US hasn't lost to the Netherlands in 32 years. The lone loss of the Dutch coming in a 4-3 defeat during the first matchup between the teams in 1991. Then the Netherlands are in ninth place ranked team in the world, beating Portugal 1-0 in the opener. And this is a rematch of the 2019 final match where US won 2-0 to Netherlands. Yeah, we go into this match pretty confident. And at the same time, we know this is going to be a team that it's going to be difficult for the US to win. What are your thoughts here, Baxter?
My thoughts on this one. I like really rate the Netherlands. So
Mhm.
actually, like, going into watching this game, I'm like, there is definitely a chance that the US loses. Like, I think that, like, we can all agree in the past couple months, like, we've seen some disconnects from the US players. And the Netherlands, like, they're just getting better and better. They have players that are like really performing well right now. Like, Jill Roord is playing excellent right now. Like, Van de Donk is excellent. Yeah, going into the game, I'm just like, the US, when they play these teams now, like, they have to come with like their best game. And I don't think we saw that in the first half. I think we can all agree we looked a little
Mhm.
flat in the first half. Yeah.
This is really interesting. This is from the first game to the second game having the same starting lineup, having Smith, Morgan, Rodman up front, Horan, DeMello, and Sullivan in the midfield, and Dunn, Gurma, Ertz, and Fox across the back, and Nair in goal. I'm curious your thoughts, Nicole, on this starting 11 two games in a row.
I'm like not too pressed on the whole like starting the same team 2 games in a row. Like, I
Mhm.
think had they played the Netherlands first, like, I think Vlatko started the tournament with what he thought was like their best 11. And then you
Mhm.
can't really change that when you're playing one of the best teams in the tournament, like when the Netherlands is your second game. I'm more pressed about like the lack of subs, cuz like, yeah, I do think like the US had a lot of momentum in the second half, but like what makes the US so great is their depth. And like when other teams start to get tired and they look at the sideline and you see like Lynn Williams, she could come in the 60 minutes like totally fresh. Like, you can't defend that when you're tired. Like, you can
Mhm.
barely defend her when you're not tired, you know? So, yeah, I'm just like, I'm cool with that starting lineup. I personally don't think it's their like best lineup. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I'd make some changes if I was like choosing their like best starting 11. But yeah, I'm less pressed about the starters and more pressed as like, how are you not going to make more subs in a game that you're trying to win? And they were actually losing. So, it's just, yeah, that's what's confusing for me.
Yeah. I mean, there's no denying that this team is so talented and all the players have such great talent,
Mhm.
even the rookies here. But for me, it kind of feels like a big red flag when you don't see when you see the same starting lineup going against the Netherlands, which are a superior team than Vietnam.
Hmm.
I don't know. For me, I think it would have been maybe Sullivan out, move Ertz to midfield, bring in Cook as center back, then Lavelle for the Mellow, and Lynn for Morgan. Why not?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, yeah, I would say like I'd make some of those same changes. I think that for Rose, I'm assuming she's not ready to go 90 minutes. Like that's probably
Yeah.
or else you'd start and play her 90. Like that's like no coach can like make that argument that she shouldn't be on the field for this team, obviously. So I'm gonna assume that it's like a fitness thing, just because she's come back from injury. But yeah, I would have moved Julie Ertz into as a six. That's like the probably the main change I would have made.
Yeah, I have to admit that I was wrong here. In the first game, I thought this was all about building confidence, where it's like you're playing Vietnam, you're going to bring in Demel, who's never had a World Cup minutes. You're going to play players that, building up Ertz's confidence at center back, or however. But as you said, Nicole, I think Flacco thinks this is his best 11, and I was
Mhm.
surprised by that, considering how deep this team is.
Yeah.
Yeah, just hashtag free Williams, but we'll get to that. We'll definitely get to that. And I did want to ask you a question about this. Before the game, Netherlands head coach spoke some, I guess what we call it fighting words before the
Mhm.
match. And he said, in the past, the U.S. women's national team were a lot fitter than the rest of the world, but those days are over. What is left of their superiority? And I'm curious, two things for you, Nicole. One is coaches talking trash. How do you feel about that? And two, do you think there's some truth to what he's saying?
Okay, so I did see this quote and I read it and I laughed because I think that coaches talking trash like that, it's just like you're kind of setting your team up for failure because now they're the
Mhm.
ones who have to play against the players that you just pissed off. So like I'm all for trash talking. Like I absolutely loved the Lindsey Horan, Danielle Van de Donk go at it.
Yeah.
I think that coaches need to be careful because like I think his comments probably motivated some of the US players, I would imagine. And like you don't
Yeah.
really want to piss them off.
I can't imagine you ever trash talking. So,
I listen, I think that I trash talk like in a joking way,
uh huh.
but I think that like if you're going to trash talk, you have to be able to back it up and you
Hmm.
Yeah.
have to like know yourself. So like for me, I like totally lose focus when I get like emotional like that in games. So like I don't think I ever trash talked in an NWSL game because I would
Hmm.
just like lose my head. I think you have to know yourself and like Lindsay Horan knew that she could do that and it would like step up her game. I think that when I do that sometimes I lose my head, so like I don't I'm also not good enough to do that. I'm not gonna lie. Like you gotta be really good if you're gonna talk shit to Danielle Van de Donk. Like she's one of the best players in the world. And vice versa. Lindsay Horan, one of the best players in the world. So like you wouldn't catch me talking shit to someone who's that much better than me.
Yeah. In your 5v5 games that you're playing now, you're talking trash then?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I thought the first time I played, I was like, I'm gonna get kicked out of this game. I genuinely thought I was gonna get kicked out of the game. As I just like I took it far too seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think, Ruby?
Personally, I like trash talk as a player, especially before and during a game. It kind of fuels you. You just want to like keep going. Like if you're tired, like you don't feel tired anymore. You want to run more and go get that ball and like score on them. Just want
Yeah.
to come out and destroy them.
I don't disagree at all. I just think it wasn't necessarily for me. Like I think we were talking about this at training one time last year with Gotham, and there's just like there's too much that people could say back to me that would like make me lose my head. So like I think I was joking with some of the girls about it. Like all they would have to be is like say I was like talking trash, right? All they'd
Yeah.
have to say back is like who even are you? Like what are you, a national team replacement player? And like I would want to walk myself right off the field, you know? So like I just had to know myself better. Like don't
Uh-huh.
start things when you know you can't handle what's going to come back at you.
Okay. Gotcha. I never played for a coach that was a trash talker, so that's new to me. And I usually keep that stuff in house. At least,
Mhm.
it's okay to like talk trash inside the locker room just to
I
build
totally
up your.
agree.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
totally
totally
fine.
with you.
Yeah, not on the outside. But I do think there is a little bit of truth in that. I think
Hmm.
that the U.S. does rely a little bit too much on their athletic prowess. And I think in the first game, U.S. women's national team could have had 85, 90% possession, but they did try to rely a little bit too much on just lobbing balls in the box, trying to get headers on them, out jumping them. And I felt like we could be a much better team than we were showing, and we rely a little bit too much on our athleticism. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. For me, when I saw that quote, I did think like there is some truth to this,
Hmm.
but it didn't have anything to do with like how the US plays or what they
Right.
rely on. Like for me, it was just like a lot of these teams are getting better. And like it is definitely a fact that like in the past, the US fitness was like off the charts compared to these other teams.
Hmm.
You can still even see it with some teams like they all look exhausted by like the 70th minute, you know?
Right.
So yeah, that when I read it, I thought like there is a little bit of truth to that, but that was just because like these other teams, they do have more resources now. Their players are playing in like much better league. They're all fitter than they were before. Brazil is such a good example because like Brazil, I always thought their main issue was their fitness. Like they've always had talented players, but like their fitness was always such an issue. Now half their team plays in the NWSL. Like
Right.
Adriana and Marta are two of the fittest players on the Orlando Pride. So they're going to take that fitness back to their national team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I do think there's a little bit of truth to it for sure.
And something I don't normally like to talk about, but I think this is an interesting topic of conversation, refereeing in the World Cup. I'm curious your thoughts so far on the, not the level of, but just your thoughts on the refereeing so far at this World Cup.
Yeah, I think it's been decent, but I
Hmm.
just think it's kind of inconsistent. Like
Hmm.
some games players are getting like football tackled,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like there's not a lot of cards like especially with VAR too, like I feel like they let a lot of stuff go and then they're like, "Oh, we'll just review it." And I think
Hmm.
it's just like even in the NWSL, I was just talking to Ali Krieger about this. Like, she probably does 5 or 6 extra max sprints per game because of this new VAR thing where they keep the flag down. So
Yeah.
yeah, the refereeing it seems is just like is quite lenient a lot of games. I would That's how I would word it.
Yeah.
Inconsistent and
Mhm.
lenient.
And it puts the keeper in a bad position all the time when they have to come
Totally.
out and, yeah, put their body on the line.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
stinks.
It's like she's offsides near the halfway line and all these players
Right.
still have to like fight to the death to make sure she doesn't score when it wouldn't have counted anyway, you
Right.
know?
Exactly. He just
Yeah.
did the run for
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah, yeah, now they're all just exhausted and they're pissed off.
But yeah, I mean, I do agree. Referees' leniency can vary. And then at some point, you have to raise the question like where to draw the line and just start giving out yellow cards and red cards to maintain control of the game. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if this happens, but maybe referees should get coach at halftime and like give them feedback, like teams. I don't know,
Yeah.
something. And then like, so they can come out on the second half and just do better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I will say? So this preseason we had like a very very in-depth VAR training. Every NWSL team got it. And
Hmm.
I will say like it was so different. It made me really appreciate referees more because they like showed us what referees hear in their ears, so like in their
Yeah.
headset. People are talking to them all game. Like they have a room full of like VAR specialists and other referees who are talking to them through the entire game. So I have no doubt that they're getting coached at halftime and also like in the middle of the game. They're getting like people are like yelling into their headsets. I'm like, I don't know how I would focus. I wouldn't even be
Yeah.
able to make these calls. I'd be like, "Stop talking to me."
Yeah.
So it gave me this like real like much deeper appreciation for what referees are dealing with because I just don't know how they focus at all with the amount of people that talk to them throughout the game.
Yeah. First, obviously, referees are human beings, and
Yes.
I think like if you're talking about this specific game, I feel like in the NWSL, if you grab someone from behind and pull them down, it's a card straight, yellow card right at the bat. Felt
Yeah.
like in this game there was at least 4 or 5 of them early on where they just grab a player, pull them down from behind, and I'm like, just calling a foul on that,
Yeah,
uh, and that
I totally agree.
and that sets up the rest of the game because as a player, you know if a player is going to do that to you, the first thing in your head's like, okay, I guess we're doing that now,
Yeah,
and you want to kind
totally.
of go back at them for it, and it kind of raises the level. And I think that the refereeing at this World Cup speaks to a larger issue. Obviously, this is the biggest tournament in the world, and there's been a lack of opportunity for women to ref at this level. So it could be just the moment might be too big for them at this particular moment, but they'll grow into it. It's more a learning thing, I guess. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's tough to know like exactly what is going on. Like I
Mhm.
don't think that they would like let anyone ref at this at the World Cup if
Right.
they weren't like qualified or didn't have the resume for it or whatever.
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, you have to wonder just like what the discussions are like. Are they supposed to be calling it a little more lenient because of VAR? Like I'm just
Mhm.
like I have a lot of questions.
Right. Yeah, maybe they just don't want to impact the game as much as
Yeah,
they
yeah.
should.
Right.
But yeah,
But I for
yeah,
sure thought that in the Netherlands USA game. I'm like, I thought Lindsey Horan was gonna have 2 yellows by the 55th minute. Like, if it
yeah.
was being called like an NWSL game, like
Mhm.
each team would have got a player sent off at some point, you know?
Yeah,
So it is interesting. It's really interesting.
yeah. Agreed. And let's get over to the game itself. Now, the first half, I'm curious your thoughts. I mean, the Netherlands pretty much dominated possession in the first half. They had a lot more fouls committed. There was 16 fouls in the first half, which is pretty good number. But the U.S., despite having less possession, had way more shots, 9 shots, 3 off target. So I'm curious your thoughts on that, just that first half, and guess going down
Mhm.
after dominating for a lot of the match.
Yeah, I think that stat that you said right there about the US having less possession, more
Mhm.
shots,
Mhm.
Netherlands having uh, a lot of the possession. Like I feel like that's the European soccer versus US soccer. Like
Right.
US soccer is so transitional. Like
Mhm.
US soccer players are like they're playing to get that ball on goal, you know, and like European soccer is much more patient. Like sometimes there's like a little bit of possession fully without a purpose. Like they're just keeping the ball, like they're getting their vibes going.
Mhm.
And I feel like that you could like see that in the way that both teams were playing. Like I'm not surprised by that stat at all. But yeah, I just thought like it was one of the first times in a really long time I felt like a team was like making the US chase them. Like the Netherlands looked so comfortable on the ball. Like
Mhm.
they were really stringing together good passes. Like they were advancing the ball up the field like pretty easily. Like you saw it on the goal they scored. Like there were just these like huge pockets of space where like Andy Sullivan dove in and suddenly this Netherlands player has 30 yards in front of her with like no one there. So, yeah, I thought the first half was just, like, kinda like blah from the US, and the Netherlands just kinda, like they looked really good, I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, "Netherlands looks sick this half." But, yeah, I thought the Netherlands just, like, looked really comfortable, and they made the US look really uncomfortable, and during the first half, I was like, "They're how does the like, if the US keeps playing like this, like, they're not going to advance very far in the World Cup." That's, like, kinda what I was thinking.
Mhm.
Yeah, you
Agreed.
could tell that Netherlands were getting in like in their heads. You can tell that
Mhm.
by the mellow. She was getting heated out there, and I think that's why they took her out at halftime because she was getting pissed out there. And yeah, and we all know that the US has more talent than that performance they gave going into the locker 1-0. I don't know what happened to them because like these stats show they had more shots to goal, but they weren't able to convert. I feel like those are missed opportunities, just like in the Vietnam game. Uh, and you think they'll come to win this after all that trash talk? Um, yeah, like just go out there and like just win early, like have the lead early. But yeah, let just like
Yeah,
like just come
yeah.
out there and show them who's boss.
Yeah, I would imagine that the DeMello sub was a planned sub. Like in my head, I obviously have no idea, but in my head, it was like Rose is she's like on a minute progression. So I would imagine she played like 30 in the first game, next game 45. We'll probably see her a little bit more in the next game. And like growing into the knockout rounds, she'll hopefully be 90 minutes like fit, you know. But I totally agree that like the Netherlands, yeah, they were just like in the US's face the whole time and they weren't scared at all, and, like, I'd loved to see a team, like, kinda go at the US like that. Not a lot of teams really do that, you know?
Yeah, this was better from the U.S. Than the first game. Obviously, it's a different opponent, and Sometimes you play up to your opponent, but I thought this was more cohesion than the first game. And honestly, it was like one chance, one goal for Netherlands. Good for them.
Mhm.
The U.S. seemed a little bit out of ideas towards the end of the first half, but get to the second half. Obviously, Rose comes in, is the game changer, starts moving the ball around, finding those pockets of space, and just being able to change of pace for the team. I'm curious your thoughts on the goal. That was a huge moment, the back and forth between Van de Donk and Haran, then Haran stepping up when she needed to be. Curious your thoughts on the goal.
Oh my god, I loved it. I loved it. I'm like, that is like they just caused those two fighting caused such a scene. Like the whole game was stopped. Lindsay's teammates were around her. Like, it looked like Lindsay's teammates were even saying to her, like, "Okay, stop, stop, stop." Like,
Yeah,
obviously we had no clue what was going on, but that's like what it looked like from when we were watching. And so I'm just like, if you're gonna cause a scene like that, like, you got like your game has to start flying, and it did. It honestly did. Like, her scoring that goal right there. Like, that just created so much conversation, and it definitely sparked them. But I
Mhm.
actually thought, like, in the second half, like, obviously, Rose coming in is always gonna help, but I thought that Julie Ertz, like, was the game changer in the second half. She
Mhm.
just it's like she came out of the locker room just, like, pissed the hell off, and she was running through people. Like, there were times that, like, she's playing center back, and she would pass the ball, and she'd just start running up the field. She's like,
Mhm.
"Screw it, I'm going." She was all the way up, like, next to Alex Morgan at some points. Like, you could just tell she did not wanna lose. So I think, like, between her, Lindsay, like, them, like, talking that trash, following through with, like, those big moments afterwards, like, I thought the goal was sick. I thought the second half was great from the US.
Mhm.
Yeah, really, really, really great second half, especially after like the ref made them like come over
Yeah,
here and let's
yeah,
talk it out. They were
yeah,
like, you two say sorry
yeah.
to each other,
It's
something
extra
like that.
funny. It's just extra funny because 'cause they're friends too. Like, when they were
Yeah,
both getting yelled at by the ref, like, the way they were looking at each other was like, they knew it was serious, but they were also, like, trying not to laugh because it's like
yeah,
it's like getting in trouble at school, like, with your best friend. It
yeah,
was
Yeah.
very funny.
yeah, yeah. It was really funny, and yeah, like you said, Horan, team captain, stepped up and delivered when the team needed it the most. Yeah,
Yeah, sure did.
Yes, and Lindsay said that that's where you get the best football from Lindsay. She said it herself.
Mhm.
I don't think you ever want to get me mad because I don't react in a good way. I just go out there and I want something more. I want to win more. I want to score more, and I want to do more for this team. And she did. And there was a quote from a famous person from Twitter. I think it's Nicole Baxter. It says Lindsay Horan and Danielle Van de Donk started fighting and caused the scene, and then Lindsay immediately scored a goal, and Danielle is ending up the game with a swim cap on her head. So winner is Haran.
Uh,
So
my Twitter is just such a dumb place, man.
that cap though, the swim cap, that's
Oh,
hilarious.
that was I obviously know that the US tied that game, and I got a lot of replies from angry people just kind of being like, "Well, who really won? The Netherlands looked good, whatever." And I'm just like, the girl ended the game with a swim cap on. Like,
Uh,
if that is not like the sign of like who won that like 1v1 battle, it was just like it was just perfect. It was perfect that Lindsay scored and then she had to wear the swim cap. Like, it was all just perfect.
yeah. All right, let's get to one of the last topics of conversation for this match is obviously the lack of subs. And I'm curious, as a player, what is your thoughts on not utilizing the bench when you have like the most talented roster in the history of soccer?
I would be pissed as hell. Like,
Hmm.
if I'm sitting on that bench, I'm like fuming because
Hmm.
when you're on the bench, like especially a game like that, like they're tied, like it's super physical, like you're sitting on the bench and you're like, I swear I can help this team. Like, all I want is to like get in there, or even if it's not you, if it's someone else on the bench, like I know that we can all like help this game right now. Like, we're all fresh. Some people look tired. So like, yeah, I would be super super confused if I was one of those players sitting on the bench.
Hmm.
And I genuinely, like, I don't know really what Vlatko was thinking. Like, the US, that's part of the reason why they're like they've always been unstoppable is because their depth is crazy. So it's just like it's very confusing. And if I was one of those players, I'd be like, what the hell is going on?
Right. And when asked, Velakos said that the subs were affecting the rhythm of the game. He said he considered Lynn Williams for the second half. His response is that he was concerned a substitute would take a minute or two to adjust to the game, but just know that Williams was top of the mind.
I will say, like, there have been games where, like, I've been sitting on the bench and there was the Challenge Cup final that we played in against Portland. I remember being on the bench and thinking we shouldn't make any subs. Like, we had so much momentum. There were so many times like that we were close to scoring. And so I genuinely was like very rationally sitting on that bench being like, yeah, I like totally agree with the decision that we shouldn't put any subs in right now. Like the people on the field are doing a really good job. Like I thought we were going to score. So, I can imagine like Vlatko considering the fact like, okay, we have momentum. Will a sub like kind of change that? Like, I can imagine that like maybe you do think that, but it's also different when like it's Gotham, a Challenge Cup game, and Nicole Baxter is on your bench. Whereas, like, it's the World Cup, you're the US, and you have someone like Lynn Williams on your bench who, like, pretty much scores in every NWSL game she plays in. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's really tough to kind of understand, like, why you wouldn't. It's not even just Lynn Williams. Like, they have a lot of people who are on that bench that could have helped. So, yeah, it's really tough to understand what's going on in that guy's head. I'll say that.
Everyone's asking, like, where's Lynn Williams? Everyone's asking the
Yeah.
same thing. And personally, I think a minute or two is not too bad for someone to take, like, to adjust into the game. I think putting Lynn Williams after that first goal would have been great, especially with the momentum going up and up as we scored that equalizer. I mean, it just makes sense to me, but I don't know. It kind of
I
feels
also
like you don't
just
trust
like,
the players on your
yeah,
bench.
it feels like a weird excuse. Like, when has Lynn Williams ever had trouble adjusting to a game when coming off the bench? Like, when has Christy Mewis ever had trouble adjusting to a game coming off the bench? So it's just like it seems like kind of a weird excuse, and I just like don't really necessarily believe that he was being honest in that moment. But I do like I remember reading this quote. I want to say it was like Anson Dorrance, and he was saying that because like UNC women's soccer has always been the same, right? Like their depth is unreal, and I remember him saying that, like, as a coach, when he's thinking about subs, he considers, like, when is this bench player at 100% better than this starter? And it's like when the starter reaches like 60% or 50%, what is it? And I would argue that a fresh 100% Lynn Williams is more than good enough to like go in over a Trinity Rodman who is at 60% by the 70th minute. Did that make
Mhm.
Yep.
sense? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's confusing for sure.
And towards the end of the game, Sophia Smith and looked drained. So I don't know why you want to run her into the ground. And Rodman was chasing shadows at the end of that game. So I don't know what.
Chasing shadows. Yeah,
Yeah,
they were
she
gassed
was
as they
everywhere.
should have
Yeah,
been. They were chasing the whole first half. Like,
uh-huh.
I would have been gassed after the 30th minute. Like,
Yeah.
it's fair that they were gassed, you know. But yeah, we needed some subs for sure.
Yeah. Change of pace. What players do you think from Gotham FC would you like to see in the next cycle?
Ooh, Jenna Nicewanger. I'm
Right.
high. I'm really high on Jenna Nicewanger. I don't know her at all, but
Right?
I just absolutely I rave about the girl any chance I can. I just think
Yeah.
she's so productive and like she's
Uh-huh.
not even an outside back, you know? And she's so young, like the fact that she's already having such a like large effect on one of the most experienced oldest teams in the NWSL, like it's just kind of for me like you kind of have to give her a chance at the next level to see what else she's capable of, you know? Like the girl can play any position on the field. She's fit as hell. Like she's a left-footed player. Coaches love that. And she's productive. Like she gets crosses in the box, she scores goals. She's one of the young players that I'd probably start like giving some looks to. I'm sure she's got to be on their radar. I'm sure.
Yeah. What do
Yeah.
you think, Ruby?
I mean, we in this podcast we love
Oh
Jenna
gosh.
Lightswanger.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do
We're
you?
rooting
I
for
think
her
everyone does,
rookie of
honestly.
the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. When I hear other players being talked about in like the rookie of the year conversation, I'm like,
Uh,
I don't know why I feel so like invested in this, but
mhm,
like if it's not Jenna Nicewanger, the system's rigged.
right.
Like
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Gotham is a top 3 team in the NWSL. She's one of their most productive players. The girl's like 22 years old. Like
Yeah.
how can she not be the rookie of the year? That's in my dumb opinion. My dumb
Yeah. If
personal
there's
opinion.
any position, if there's any position that's not quite always settled, it is that outside back
Yeah.
player. And she does both. She's learning the defensive side of the game. She's getting better at that. And obviously, who other than like Sofia Huerta, who puts in better service than she does?
Yeah,
Not many players.
genuinely, yeah. She puts in some really good service, and like
Yeah.
it's such an added bonus that she's like a
Mhm.
natural lefty.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you absolutely have to keep her in that at least the next cycle. And that's was maybe Yasmin Ryan as well. I probably
I
would
love
like to
her.
see her step up.
I
Yeah.
think she's so good. Yes. I
Hmm.
played a little bit of pickup with her in the off season, like when she
Oh,
first came to
nice.
Jersey, and the way she moved like really reminded me of Mal Pugh. Like
Hmm.
they're obviously different players, like they play different positions, but it was something about like the way that she moves on the ball is like she like glides in the same type of way that Mal does. She like glides on her toes.
Hmm.
I think she's really good. And I'm like really happy that she finally scored a goal. Like I think that she's been sitting on that for like a couple games. So yeah, I think she's definitely a player that should be on their radar as well.
Yeah. All right. Let's move over to the player of the match week. The fans over at Gotham Pod on Twitter. So fans chose Haran. Thanks to the fans who voted, do you agree that Haran was the player of the match?
Um, see, yeah, but I also think that like a lot of fan votes about player of the match, like everyone always leans towards the person who scored the goal. And I just think
Yeah.
that like there was so much dirty work done in that game. Like I thought Julie Ertz like changed the whole game the way she came out in the second half. And I also sleeper for me, I thought Crystal Dunn did a low key good job. I think what was interesting about her, and like I don't ever give defenders credit, certainly not outside backs. Like I never would choose them. Like I just always lean towards attacking players when I talk about like the players that I thought did really well. Crystal Dunn's like reaction when she loses the ball is like her transition from attacking to defense is so quick that I thought she just did such a good job of like winning the ball back for the US in like higher positions on the field. So like I thought she gave the ball away like a decent amount, but then she would win it back so fast that I thought it just like had a positive effect on the game.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, those would be some of the players that I'd give some credit to, some of those defensive players.
Yeah, you're right. We always overlook like defense, and
Mhm.
they're really important as well. And
Yeah.
I do agree with the fans like Horan. Yeah, player of the match. Why? Because she stepped up. She
Mhm.
like
It was also, like, her presence, yeah, like, she had such a large presence because of, like, the trash talk that was happening that I do
yeah,
think that she would definitely be up there in the conversation for me as, like, who was the player of the match for sure. But,
yeah,
yeah, I think everyone just leans towards the person who scored the goal.
yeah. And she really went out there and acted like a captain should. Like
Mhm.
and just have their teams back. So
Yeah,
I do
totally.
agree with Horan, but I also agree with you. Dunn was good. Ertz was good. So hard. What about
Yeah.
you, Gary?
I agree on the night it was Haran. I think Haran's been good over the first two games. I think
Mhm.
probably our most like consistently good player of the first two games. But I also want to shout out to Naomi Gurma. I think she's been playing
Nice, that's
lights
a good
out.
one. That's a great
Yeah,
one.
Mhm.
I think she's fantastic. Like,
yeah.
she's gonna have such a long, great career on that
Mhm.
She's like
US team.
a calculator, like a risk management calculator,
Yeah.
and like the meme
That's a
where
good way
like
to
the
put it.
woman, yeah, the woman's like sitting there, like all the calculations are going around her
Uh-huh.
head. She's
Yes.
confused, but like that's Gurma, but she understands all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it's like her brain's, like, moving at a different pace.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's so good.
she's, like especially for a young player,
Yeah,
she's almost so good that you don't talk about her for player of the match because she's so consistently like that,
right.
that it doesn't even stand out to you anymore because 'cause you're like, "That's just Naomi Gurma." Like, she's
Yeah.
just so freaking reliable. Like, she does her
Yeah,
job
Mhm.
so well, and so I always forget to bring her up in, like, these player of the match conversations, but I think I'm totally with you on that one. She's
yeah.
been very good. That was a good
I remember,
shout.
I was watching her last year, and you just get the feeling like there's nothing too big for her. Like
Uh-huh.
she just the moment she never
I
seems
totally
phased by
agree.
the moment. Yeah,
Cool as a
she's
cucumber.
really good.
That's how she looks.
Yes, absolutely. So let's get to some Gotham player updates. Nicole, do you have any updates on Anamanu?
Oh, I love Ify. I really love Ify, and I need this girl to get the ball more. Like, and it's not even on her. It's just like it's the way Nigeria plays. Like they're very like outside of the field dominant. I think Nigeria, but they are a sleeper team, and I'm glad that her team is doing well and that she's starting and like getting a lot of minutes. Like, I'm really rooting for her. I want her to score so freaking bad.
Oh, absolutely. I would probably get to this later, but I want the Nigeria Ireland game. I want it to be a 2-1 game, and I want Anamanu to score twice and Fairley once. I want any Fairley to score one goal.
I love that. I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah.
That's exactly how I word it to if like my friends are on a team that I don't want to win. I'm like, I hope you score 8 goals and your team loses 9-8. Honestly.
That's what it is. Yes. So, any update on Fairley, Ruby?
Ireland faced Canada, and Sinead played 65 minutes of the game. She had 5 passes into the final third and 2 shots on goal. Unfortunately, Canada won, and Ireland was eliminated from the World Cup. They still have one more game against Nigeria, but if they win, they do not have enough points to go to the next round. But all these women just play with so much passion, so much heart out there. I like Ireland so much.
I love Ireland. I really do. I have such a spot in my heart for them. I don't know why. I just feel like they're like fighters. And they also have a handful of like American players on that team. Like I love Sinead Farley. I love Marissa Shiva. Like I think Caruso was actually drafted by Sky Blue, right? Back in the day.
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
Absolutely right.
so yeah, I just there's a lot of players on that team who I'm like heavily rooting for. So it's a shame that they don't have a chance of advancing anymore, but they're in the hardest group in the tournament, like without a doubt.
Yeah, we are almost at the point where Nigeria can knock out either the 7th or 10th team in the world. That's pretty
I'm
crazy.
petrified. It just sucks because Australia's the host nation. I want them to go through so bad. Like they're the host nation. Kaylin's on Canada. I need them to go through, like in my heart and soul. And then Ife's on Nigeria. So I'm just like, how I wish all 3 teams could advance. Like I have legitimate reasons for wanting them all in the next stage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but imagine how Sam Kerr feels right now that she hasn't been able to play.
I'm
Oh,
like, I'm genuinely heartbroken for her. Like
yeah.
I could cry thinking about it. Like the World Cup in your host nation, like
Mm-hmm.
she's never gonna play in a World Cup in Australia ever again. It's just, I'm like, I saw that she's gonna be available for the next game though. So hopefully she's like good enough to play a decent amount of minutes.
Yes. And Bruninia played 0 minutes. Boo. And a 2 to
Oh,
1
poor
loss to
Bruna.
France.
Poor Bruna.
Yeah, but a huge game Wednesday, August 2nd versus Jamaica. Jamaica has 1 point on Brazil, meaning Brazil needs to win to advance. This was my dark horse team going into this tournament. I'm hoping that they make it through. But the reggae girls, you have to.
This one's so
Gosh,
tough because like
I
yeah,
know.
Jamaica is always a sleeper team. Like
Yeah.
they have some decent players. Like Bunny Shaw will be back. But like Brazil for me is like a contender to win the entire thing. So if they get
Hmm.
knocked out, like to me that's such a massive loss. And I they got to win this. Like they have to win. And it's like Marta's last World Cup. Like I feel very now that I'm speaking to you guys about this, I feel very emotionally tied to about half the teams in this World
Hmm.
Cup.
Hmm.
So it's just like Brazil's another one. Like I need them to advance. For me, it will be
Yeah.
heartbreaking if Marta doesn't make it out of the group stage in her last World
Oh.
Cup.
Yeah, and after last season with Coach Menzies and doing a deep dive on his impact on the Jamaican national team, and their story is incredible, and
Hmm.
how they were brought back from the brink from Marley's daughter. I'm blanking on her name, but they have such an amazing story, and you want to. That's a team that you definitely want to root for,
Yeah.
regardless.
Shout out Hugh Menzies. I love that guy. I
Yeah,
think
he was.
I love him. So yeah, that's another reason to root for Jamaica. Like Yeah, he's a great guy, and like he really helped that program so much. And like so many of the girls on that Jamaica team, like they are now playing for better club teams. Like they deserve like the results that they've been getting, you know? Like I don't think their federation has treated them like particularly well over the years. So for them to like come out in these major tournaments against good teams and like fight the way that they do, I like really respect it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get to our next opponent, which is Portugal. The U.S. women's national team extends its unbeaten run to 19 straight World Cup matches, the longest streak, men or women. Portugal went through
Wow,
a
I didn't know
10.
that.
Yep. Portugal went through a 10-match group stage to qualify for their first World Cup tournament. Portugal has been decent. They lost 1-0 to the Netherlands, and they beat Vietnam 2-0. USA leads the all-time series 3-0, and Portugal has yet to score a goal against the US. I'm curious your thoughts on this matchup, Nicole.
Yeah, I think that the US should like destroy them, honestly. Like I think we're probably going to see a pretty different lineup the next game. Well, I shouldn't even say that cuz like who the hell knows at this
Yeah,
rate.
right.
But like normally in a normal situation, this would be like the entire second lineup to give like some of those other starters some rest. So I think that the US should definitely beat them. But what's like fun about this World Cup, it's like anything can happen. Like these teams are all so much better than they were in the past. So like even a team that had to play 10 games to qualify, like they can like bust out a win, no doubt, you know? So
Mhm.
you can't just like you can't sleep on any of these teams. Like the US still have to come out and like put their best foot forward, which I'm sure they will. Especially like if it's a whole different round of players, like they're going to be fired up to be on the field, you know? So I'm gonna say
Mhm.
the U.S. is gonna win 3-0.
What do you got,
Mhm.
Ruby?
I mean, sounds good. But I'm also expecting to see a different lineup. At least some players give them some rest. You know, 1999 was the last time the U.S. Women's National team had an unchanged starting 11 in the group stage. Hopefully,
Whoa! I
yeah.
didn't know
So
that.
yeah,
Yes.
the
Well, they
last time
won.
they had exactly. So hopefully this ends like it's 1999.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. One can hope. Wow,
Yeah,
that's really
and
interesting. I didn't know that.
I'm also saying 3-0.
All right.
Yeah, just win and move on. That's all I want.
Yeah, yeah. Truly, like I don't. They can win
Yeah.
1-0 for all I care, but like they have to win. Please win.
Yes. Great. So what are we manifesting this week?
Ooh, I'm manifesting Canada. Canada is
Ooh,
going to beat Australia
okay.
and they will advance.
Okay.
Oh
I
shit. I
just
kind of
yeah.
regretted saying that as soon as I said it.
I was like, in my head, I was like, okay, she
As
really
soon as it
saying
came out of my mouth, I was like, oh shit. I don't know if that's what I really want. I really want Australia to go through. Is there any chance that both of them go through? No, right?
Is there
I
is
don't
there
think
like
so.
Points
yeah,
wise? I don't think so. I think
it's
Yeah,
it
not
I
like
would
the
think
have
it's
to be one
challenge
or the
cup.
other.
Yeah. Yeah, Nigeria has one of them beat. I think Nigeria should be through. I think. I
Okay.
think
I
even if they
think you're
tie,
right.
yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think I
'Cause-
looked this up because I was doing the
yeah.
same calculations for Brazil. Because, like, I'm
Yeah.
just trying to figure out a way for, like, all of this to work out for me personally.
Yeah.
I'm also, you know what? I'm just going to manifest. Everyone gets some good sleep. Everyone has good vibes for the week.
Yep.
And everyone drinks a lot of coffee.
Yeah. So what's your game plan for Tuesday?
Oh, Jesus. Listen, I really want to tell you that I'm going to watch that game, but I'm
I
not
know.
going to. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to watch it when I wake up.
Yep.
Same.
It ruins my whole day when I try, like, even the 6 a.m. games, like, it
Mhm.
ruins my whole day. I can't work properly. Like, all I want to do is like sleep and lay in bed, and then I also don't work out. Got myself on a really good Pilates workout plan. And I skip Pilates when I try to wake up for those damn early games. So I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna rewatch it as soon as I wake up. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, so it's a work day for me. So I'll be awake at 6. I'm not gonna get on Twitter. I'm not gonna get on
Yeah.
Instagram, anything. I'm just gonna go straight to Peacock and watch the replay.
Yeah, honestly, it's like I have Thought Mob, so like I get notifications,
Oh yeah.
but if I wake up and I watch a game right away, like I pro I probably haven't seen the result yet unless I'm looking for it. So like you can get away with rewatching a game and not knowing what happened. Like no one's spoiling it. So I do usually look up the scores though, I'm not gonna lie though. Like
Yeah.
I know the results like before I rewatch most of the games because I can't help myself. Like I just want to know who won.
Yeah. What do you got, Ruby? What are you manifesting?
For me, I just want Lynn Williams to play.
I
Right?
That's what
love
I'm
that.
manifesting.
That's you
Right?
know what? I think that's a pretty easy thing to ask for. I don't think you're asking for too much there.
No.
Exactly. Yeah, you're asking for Australia, Brazil,
Yeah.
Nigeria.
I just said something about the host nation getting knocked out, so I'm gonna bite my tongue. What an idiot. I
Yeah.
don't know how to say
We can take that out if you like.
that. Yeah, fuck it. I am who I am.
Yes. All right. So, my manifestation, you guys already know already. I'm manifesting the 2-1 win. Again, Anamanu scores twice. Fairly scores once.
Love that. I'm with that.
It's
I'd like to double
not
manifest that.
okay.
I'd like to
Cool.
retweet your manifest.
All right. Very
Right.
good. Or is that the accent? What is that? Like you can't quote tweet. It's like an quote X. I don't. Whatever.
What?
Oh my god. It's a
The hell
it's
are
a
you talking about?
repost now, not a
It's
retweet.
Oh,
It's yeah.
no.
like it's like
No, not
you
for
don't
me.
tweet anymore. It's like you
Oh,
X
that is
now.
get
It's just
over yourselves, Twitter. I'm calling it a retweet forever.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
tweet. It's
dumbest
gonna
thing
be a
ever.
tweet for me. Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So any random thoughts before we get up?
Oh my god. I just felt like a boomer right there. Like it's gonna be Twitter. I don't care.
Yeah.
No, this was fun. I'm happy to be back on Soccer Over Gotham.
Yeah, we always like talking to you, and you can come back anytime. You're
I love
always
that.
fun.
I love talking
And
soccer with you guys. It's always a good time.
yeah, very good. And yeah, so that is our show. We had Renee Washington on last week,
Oh
and
my
she said to
god.
shout out to you.
Oh my god, my girl. We
Yeah.
went to high school together.
Yes.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
What
she
a
was.
small little world. She's, you know what? I'm going to shout her out right back because she's doing a great job
Oh, she's
on
killing it.
MSG.
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
like so happy that those games are on MSG. I can't even
Oh,
tell you. How cool
Yeah.
is that? Like it's the same
It is
network
cool.
the Knicks and the Rangers play on. Like it's about damn time. So shout out Renee.
Absolutely.
She's doing such a good job.
Yeah, we're gonna have her back on because I was like, as I was talking to her last week, I'm like, I do a lot of research on our guests to make sure that I know everything possible about them.
Yeah.
And I'm going through her story, and I'm like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
interesting. She's doing this. That's interesting.
Oh my
Like,
god.
I gotta.
You should
Yeah,
have seen how hard that girl worked to like get where she is. Like
yeah,
you don't just start like reporting for people like just don't even understand the grind that it takes to go from like
hmm
not doing that to getting to that point. Like she was like reporting on like high school lacrosse games. Like she was like in the low lows trying to like
hmm
get that career started. And so the fact that she got herself to like the WNBA and she climbed that mountain like with no one gave her like any chances it seemed, and she was like I'm gonna do this, and now she's on MSG. It's like pretty incredible.
yeah,
Go girl.
yeah. The coolest thing about her is that I was looking at like her, like I think it was called "Planted, Not Buried" or something like
Hmm.
that. Just program she does. It always seems like as she opens doors, she's pulling other people through the
Uh-huh.
doors
yeah.
with her.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she's awesome.
I do feel like that's like the women's soccer community. Like
hmm
I feel like I really felt that at Gotham. Like I made so
hmm
many connections just with people like Gotham fans that I like got to know over Twitter and stuff that I felt like when I stop playing soccer, like there will be opportunity for me. And I just like I encourage current players all the time to like do that type of stuff because not everyone likes using social media or like networking and stuff, but like you're just genuinely like talking to people and I'd feel like all women's soccer people and fans, they just want to like pull you through those doors with them. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's a real good community we got going.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so next week, we're going to be covering the U.S. Women's National Team versus Portugal with our best friend of the show, Jenna Tonelli.
Ah, lovely.
Look at all these
I
big
love her
hitters we got on the
too. I
show.
love her
Yeah,
too.
I know. Shout out to Jenna. But
Shout out Jenna. Shout out Jenna.
Shout out. She was in Italy. She was on
I
vacation, but
saw
she's back.
that. I saw that.
Yeah, good for her. But all right, I'm ready for this next game against the Netherlands. You ready, Nicole?
I am more than ready. I
Yes.
love it.
Ready.
I'm like, at my friends joke, like my girlfriend was joking with me the other day because every World Cup game that we watch, it'll be the 90th minute, and I'm like, I don't want it to be over yet. Like I get so
Yeah.
upset. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I would get so pumped for all these games. I don't ever want this tournament to be over. I'm not gonna lie.
It's true. All right, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.